Hello, my friends. Today's video is entitled Enjoying Meal Planning. You know, recently my mother passed away, and I love cookbooks, and I inherited one of her cookbooks, this Betty Crocker cookbook. It was given to her by our neighbor, her name was Ms. Marks, but I called her Ms. Market because I was 4. She got it in November of 1957. She was 27 years old, and right there it says, my third cookbook. So this means a lot to me. And I've always been one, even as a teenager, who would sit in my rocking chair and really enjoy reading over a cookbook, an older cookbook. I loved the old ways of thinking. I guess I was always an old soul. But I find today that these things still hold true. And when I'm reading about meal planning, first let me say that I get a lot of comments on meal planning. People thinking that it's really difficult for them, they don't enjoy it. And the very first thing it says is, have a good time preparing meals. So I thought I'd read that. Let me read this to you. Food prepared with a light heart and in a happy frame of mind is often the best food. Preparing the special foods that are favorites of those you love, making just a little effort to garnish the salad with a sprig of parsley, a bit of grated cheese, or a wild strawberry from a nearby meadow. This says you cared enough to do the little extra things. This makes cooking pleasant and satisfying. Make the food look as pretty as it is good to eat. So that was one of the things that it says in this cookbook. And you know, these cookbooks weren't just how to cook. They were guides to life for women back then. The second title is Time and Energy Left Over for Other Activities. And it talks about planning your day and getting your things done early in the day so that you have time for other things in the middle of the day, things that are relaxing. And then it says, use your leftovers and food on hand. You know, we talk about that all the time. When you do your your basic weekly plan and you're doing your planning and desk day, the first thing we talk about is shopping your shelves and looking at your leftovers to decide what you can do to make meals for the upcoming week. It talks about saving money, planning carefully, avoiding waste of food. And, you know, we talk about that too. Avoid buying food that you haven't even checked to see if you already have things in the fridge or on the shelves. Ample time to shop pleasantly. It says plan a day of the week to do your grocery shopping. That's what we do. It talks about better tasting meals. With just a little extra effort, your meals can become delicious rather than just something to eat. Add herbs to the soup, a bit of lemon rind to the salad dressing, and plan to have piping hot rolls coming right out of the oven. Well, we've changed the way we eat a little bit since then, but still the premise is the same. Plan it. Make it delicious. Be careful with it. I think that's why setting the table is so important and sitting at the table is so important, because you've made the effort to make the meal carefully, and now you're not allowing your children to eat right before their meal because you want them to enjoy the food that you so carefully prepared and enjoyed making for them. And so you want to sit down at the table and make it an affair, a little bit of an affair. The other thing it talks about is to make your meals healthful, fruits and vegetables, lean meats, carbohydrates, things that you need to eat. One of the things it talks about in here is checking your meal pattern and making sure that you're cooking for your family and giving them all the vitamins and things they need from their whole foods. You know, you don't have to be a whole foods cook, but you need to think about having fresh vegetables, and even frozen vegetables are good. And nice lean meats that you prepare properly. You don't just guess how to cook it. You look it up. If you don't know how to cook it, look it up. Nothing is harder than the instructions in this book than not using instructions. I think that's the hardest thing. If you don't use a recipe and you don't know how to cook, you're making it hard for yourself. So make it easy. These are just little steps. Every recipe gives you little steps. It will tell you all the ingredients you need. It will tell you the time it takes to make it, what you need to do to prepare for this, if you need to refrigerate something or freeze something or thaw something, how long you need to cook it before you turn it over, what temperature you need to cook it at. Everything is there. You just have to care enough to want to cook for your family. So if you are going to make your regular foods, and that's fine, but you want to start to cook in this way, then what you want to do is make sure you look at the recipe, make sure you have all of the ingredients, make sure you're not buying ingredients that are so strange to you that you won't use them for any other recipe, because if that's the case, then you've just wasted money. If you bought sesame oil and you only want to use it for this one recipe that you're going to make this one time, or maybe you'll make it once every 3 months, then you don't want to buy a giant bottle of sesame oil, maybe a small bottle. Or maybe you don't want to make it again, you're just trying it out. Try some alternative method or another recipe instead. But you might enjoy finding an old cookbook like this old Betty Crocker cookbook. And there's lots. There's The Joy of Cooking. There's Good Housekeeping. There's so many good Southern Living, one of my personal favorite cookbooks. There's so many great cookbooks out there. And for those of you with children, I highly recommend the Food Nanny. I've talked about it before. I think the Food Nanny is an excellent book. It's got recipes, directions, and it involves your family, which makes life so much easier. But my point of this is, when you're making your grocery list, make sure you have everything you need for your menu. There's for the menu and for what you're going to prepare. There's nothing more unsatisfying than having thought out your meat and you have everything you need except, and it's like a major thing, you just don't have it, and you can't borrow it from a neighbor. It's very dissatisfying. So make sure that you have everything you need. Be careful. Be careful. Don't be sloppy with your planning. Be careful and really learn to enjoy cooking and enjoy preparing meals. Take some time to just sit and read a cookbook. It's actually fun. I actually read cookbooks. I don't make everything in there, but I read cookbooks. And what it does is it gives me, and it has always given me, techniques on how to make certain things, so that I don't have a problem making a pot of rice without a rice cooker. I know how to cook rice because I've read about it, I've practiced it, I've made it through the years, and I can cook a pot of rice, and it's fluffy and delicious. There's several ways to cook rice. And if you are not proficient at cooking rice, or it's the bane of your existence, then find something else like boil and bag rice by Success, or instant rice if it's something that you enjoy. I don't enjoy instant rice, but I will eat the Success rice. Also, I'm just going off on rice right now, but I happen to love rice. The yellow rice in a bag comes with the seasonings, and the directions are right on there. Read the directions before you make your dinner. Don't wait until it's time to make dinner to read the directions. Read the directions in the still of the day, in the calm, where you can say, okay, I've never made this before. Let me see what it's going to take. And read it without interruption. Oh, I'm going to have to do this and this and this. Do I even have the right pots and pans, the right strainers, the right spoons? Do I have everything I need to make this particular dish? And what will I serve with this dish? Sometimes, for example, yellow rice is a wonderful side dish, and it's like the belle of the ball, and you just put a plain chicken breast with it and some plain vegetables, and you have the yellow rice, and it makes a good meal. So you don't have to make complicated things, but learn how to cook and enjoy cooking by using a cookbook. An old one or a new one, food is still the same. The old ones don't have things like instant pots and crock pots in them. It's just plain old cooking. But I don't have a problem with a crock pot or an instant pot. I own them. I love them as well. So I want you to find the joy. I want you to find the happiness. I want you to find the completeness and really nurturing your family through food and really enjoying planning your meals. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you always remember that you are beautiful. So be beautiful.